Estás viendo Canal América, televisión dominicana para el mundo.
A Time for Truth show is sponsored by the Office of Dr. Bernard Fialkoff, a periodontal, dental implant and laser specialist in New York City, for over 40 years. Dr. Fialkoff was honored by the International College of Dentists and Pierre Fauchard, and received the Presidential Lifetime Humanitarian Honor from the White House. Call us at 718-229-3838.
Sometimes life can be so damn hard. You don't know where to go. Everything keeps falling apart. Yeah. You try to do your best, but only God knows that you've given everything you've got, but the world takes you down. You just keep moving on. Let your fears.
Welcome to A Time for Truth show. I'm your host, Dr. Bernard Fialkoff. It's a pleasure to have you back with us again today. Many of you have been wondering, how do I avail myself of these episodes? It's very simple. Go on YouTube, A Time for Truth show. Click on the subscribe button. We'll be happy to have you as one of our participants. You know, we had the other day the Dominican Day Parade in Manhattan. And what was it about? It was about culture, heritage, celebration, and really unity. Because New York City is a melting pot. We have cultures and heritage from all over the world, which is what makes it the greatest city in the world. And tonight we're very lucky to have one of those people, special people, who have come to immigrate, like me, who came from Cuba. He coming from Liberia. Sidiki Donzo, who is the chairperson of the African Advisory Council under Bronx Borough President Vanessa Gibson, and also the rest of New York. He was born in Liberia, as I had said, and immigrated to the U.S. and furthered his studies due to his strong belief in the power of education. He's director and CEO of Ploutus, has a bachelor's degree in economics from African Methodist Episcopal University, a master's degree in finance from Iona University, is currently obtaining his second master's degree in financial engineering. As a Black Muslim, Donzo founded his nonprofit organization, Young Black Men's Alliance, to mentor community youth. He has continued working with the African Advisory Council, good governance, and bylaw committees. And due to his role and how much he does for the community, he was recognized and met by President Barack Obama. Donzo states that the AAC is charged with being the voice of the community and cannot serve the people without being able to connect with them. He promotes effective communication across all platforms between the AAC, other organizations the council works with, and the community members. Chair Donzo also worked at Goldshot, New York, where he was responsible for community affairs and designing the company's community outreach strategies. He believes in knowing what is happening in the community, in developing leaders, and encouraging media platforms such as Little Africa News, and creating internship committees that ensure young people the opportunities in companies in the New York City area and around. And we want to bid a warm welcome to Sidiki Donzo to A Time for Truth show. Buddha, let's bring him up live. Welcome, sir.
Thank you for having me here today. Thank you so much, Mr. Bernal, and thank you for the media to have us here today. Thank you.
It's a pleasure to have you with me. And I wanted to ask you something. because as a young man, you went through quite a bit because you had a civil war going on in your country.
Right.
Tell us what that was like and how that shaped your life.
So, first of all, let me say that I'm very much excited to be here, and thank you for giving us the platform to be on this show. Just for being on this show means a lot for us. So, thank you for giving us the opportunity to be here tonight.
Well, it's my pleasure. So, tell us, because you know, here you are, you're a 4-year-old Black Muslim boy, a little guy, you know, like I was in Cuba when I lost my country. And you're in the middle of a civil war.
Right.
I mean, how did that shape your life?
So, first of all, number one that I want to say, I do not want any countries or anyone to experience what a civil war is like. You know, I was a little child born, and the only thing that I saw was civil war. And I was with my parents moving from one place to another. And I realized that, you know, one of the worst experiences when I listen to my parents and listen to people that actually honor God is that, you know, they saw a lot of tragedies, killing people, and young people like myself being traumatized of what we have seen and so forth. We, being the young people in those directions, we had the opportunity to travel to other countries, like they come in the United States, that gave us the opportunity. But other people within the same age range, like, oh, they didn't have no opportunity. So up to today's day, they're being victims of what has happened in Liberia back in the days up to today's day. Some of them are actually into drugs, doing things that they shouldn't be done. And I'm not exceptional. I believe if I would have been to Liberia and not have guardians like my parents and other people did, I would have been in the same pathway as those people. So absolutely, I won't encourage any country or anybody that even have the mindset to actually experience civil war. No.
It's horrific. You're absolutely right. And, you know, because somebody young, it influences them for the rest of their life, the violence, the killing. You're so right. And, you know, then you go and you're going to go civil engineering, and you do some civil engineering, but it's interesting because then you turn to economics. So I'm just curious, so we get a flavor before we get into the questions. So then how did you go from engineering, which is like on this end, and now you go to economics?
All right. So growing up, when I have always been a genius in mathematics, you know, growing up as a young person, middle school, high school. So my whole mindset were, I want to be an engineer, mechanical engineer, you know, civil engineer, whatever it will be, because I love to be challenged. Any idea that challenge me, I want to take advantage of that to see how I can find a solution for those problems. So when I graduated from high school, and I had the opportunity to go to a university that actually provided me at that time, you know, a scholarship of half of my tuition. And I saw that as an opportunity. But the only course that could challenge me at that time in that university was economics. So I decided to actually do my undergrad in economics. While doing that, I had the opportunity to travel to the United States, and I decided to do finance, and now I'm going to civil engineering. That's my journey.
Amazing. So you incorporated it all
together.
Took it all in. That's beautiful. Now, then you get involved in community, and I've seen, as I was really researching and seeing more about you, the tremendous passion that you have for community. So I wanted you to share with us, how did that happen? Why is that?
So, like I already said, I was born into a country, I said earlier, Liberia. And Liberia happened to be a country where young people are being victims of things that they did not start. So what am I trying to say is this: Liberia had a civil crisis from 1989 up to 2004, 2003, 2004. And I realized that young people in those generations, in our generations, become victims of drugs, became victims of molestation, became victims of crimes and everything that's happening. So I decided within my youth age at that point of time, what can I do to change the world? And I remember, just to share a little bit of stuff with you, I remember one time I was sitting down in the auditorium back in Liberia, And me and a couple of friends were having a conversation. When we had a conversation, I told one of the friends, when I had the opportunity to go to the United States, I want to sit down with the first black president of America. And everybody kept laughing. Everybody felt it was impossible. So, and I felt like, there's something that's possible. So once you have a dream and once you think that you can serve your community right, think big, and trust me, sometimes it can come true. And since then, I created this passion for the community, and I wanted to be a change maker. And I wanted to start with the grassroots, what I've been doing from day one up to where I'm sitting. And I will continue to serve the community regardless of my status in life. Thank you.
Oh, absolutely. Well, it's interesting because I think all the real successful people in life,
Right.
All the innovators, all the discoverers, always were laughed at. If you look at Magellan, they thought he was going to fall off the earth because it was a square.
That's right.
And Copernicus, they ridiculed him. And so you were in the same, realm with these other great people. And what's funny is that's what happened.
Absolutely.
Exactly what you said.
Of course.
Exactly what you said.
Of course.
It's a great principle you bring out that I think on the show we don't want to miss is that when you out there watching this show, aside from what we're going to go over, don't change what your dream is.
That's right.
Go for your dream. Listen to Sidiki. And now the next question I had for you, with that in mind,
Right.
what is it that you saw then and you see now? What are the mistakes that you see and the philosophies that are really not correct that are happening in our world leading to this conflict, the turmoil that we're experiencing?
So that is a very great question. I'm excited that you figured that question out. It's really amazing because one thing that I have to take into consideration that actually has happened is people mindset, people that we deal with on a daily basis. One of the things is that especially when you're in a leadership role, don't expect perfection from everybody. People is going to be, negative. People is going to be on different path as you expect them to be. And the only way you can cross those path lines is being calm and be able to listen to everybody. So I think most of the people in our community, including leaders, one of the big mistakes that they actually do is to think like everybody around them should think that the way they think. And once you place yourself in that position, the probability of you succeeding when it comes to leadership or community leadership become, like zero. Statistically, it become like zero. So my problem or my issue with a lot of leaders that are trying to be our leaders, the best way you can make a change is for you to listen. So if you have the opportunity, no matter who the person, no matter their status, no matter their religion or their race or their sexual orientations, just listen to them. No matter what they say, take them very seriously. And once you do that, I believe that that's where perfection comes when it comes to leadership.
Absolutely. What you just said is so important and so true. I found that in my own practice of 44 years, that when I was younger, I was going to win by we're going to go for it, and it was going to be my vision. And you're so right, because as time went on, the years went on, and I always had good staff, but it started to finally dawn on me, well, these people have their own ideas. These people have their own desires. And if I'm going to be a leader, I have to somehow meld all this together and get it to go in. Maybe it's not exactly this direction, but we got to go in some form of that direction. So your point is a tremendous point, because I think a lot of people watching the show probably right now are realizing that maybe that's why you're experiencing some of the difficulties in a business, in a relationship, maybe in a club. And if we look at it, we're definitely experiencing with these wars that we're having internationally. They're not doing what Sidiki said. They're just wanting one way, and if you have one way, and they hit, what do you get? An explosion, and that's what we're having. You're so correct about that. So I was going to ask you, because I know as I said, researching into you some more also, another thing you're very big in is opportunities. And here we are in New York City. Here's this Cuban guy. Here's this Liberian guy. Here's a Dominican guy filming the show.
That's right.
And we're in this tremendous melting pot of all these heritages cultures together. So let me ask you, how do you feel that New York City could provide more opportunity to really a country that was made of immigrants? Because really the only people who were here at the beginning were the American Indian. Really, if we look at it, there was nobody here at the beginning except the American Indian.
Right.
And maybe some horses, maybe some eagles. But the rest of us are immigrants. So as immigrants, let me ask you that question, is what do you think we can do to give more opportunity in the city of New York?
I mean, first of all, New York already have an opportunity. It depends on the individual how best you can capitalize on that opportunity to make the best out of it. So New York is the most diverse city, especially New York City, in the world. So what am I trying to say there? For instance, Africa is 54 countries. You know, out of the 54 countries, we have representations of the 54 countries here in New York City. I don't think you see that anywhere in the world other than New York City. So with that being said, the opportunity and the level of different type of people that reside in New York with different mindset coming together, they bring the opportunity. And I always tell younger people, I always sit down when I'm having or mentoring young people, and one of the things that I tell them is that when you look for opportunity, you will get opportunity. Why are you and I sitting here today? Because we met at the parade and we connected through our connection, the opportunity came out. So your network, again, I will say it's your network. Anywhere you are, talk to people, have a conversation, network, and see how you can fit within their opportunity and take that into consideration and make business out of it. New York has the best opportunity anywhere in the world, and I can say that anywhere. It's up to the individual how best you can take that into consideration. Again, how can we provide more opportunity or bring more opportunity to New York? Is through business leadership. How much can you provide businesses in order to hire other people? And the only distinction between us and other people is that when they come in a community, when they go certain places, they provide employer opportunity. And I believe New York has been one of the prime examples of people coming from everywhere around the world and creating this opportunity to hire people and do a lot of stuff. So I believe coming together as a team and coming together as who we are, New York will continue to rise and New York will continue to provide opportunity for everybody, regardless of where you're from.
That's so true. You know, it's you and I met by chance.
That's right.
And here we are a day later, and we're speaking to the world together.
That's right.
And so, you know, I think you're so right that, you know, we just got to take a look. And I think with a viewpoint that he recommended, not looking at it as a rigid that only what we want, but looking at it more like what would benefit everyone. Not that you're going to give up, but you're going to look to see how we can benefit a larger part of the picture. Because life is totally amazing. So, you know, and you're also chairman of this African Advisory Committee. So what 4 goals do you feel were very important to you as this chairman?
So my most priority goal for being the chairman of the African Advisory Council is to provide mentorship for younger generations. And I believe that we are not doing too well when it comes to us mentoring young people in order for them to move forward. One of the things that I thought of starting right now to emerge that with the African Advisory Council is to actually talk to other elected officials. Every young person that's in high school or from the age of 10 to 18 years that you have at least a police officer has their mentor, because the mindset a lot of community member has created for police officer is different for who many of the police officers are. So this time around, we want police officers to mentor younger generation, telling them, hey, this is what you can do, this is what you can't do. And in doing so, I believe that it will create a pathway for younger generation thinking negative about how police officers or how other folks might actually think of people of different color or different mindset and so forth. So that is my goal for the African Advisory Council. Create a mentorship program where law enforcement professionals can mentor younger generation and they can become the best version of themselves.
Great concept, and I think it's going to be very important to accomplish that. So as I talk to you, I see your energy level.
Right.
And probably the people out there are saying, are you going to ask them? Are you going to ask them? So I'm going to ask them a question they're probably wondering about, because people want what you have. So I'm going to ask you, how do you stay so energetic? How do you stay so inspired? In spite of, this is New York City.
Right.
We're not in some mountains where it's nice and calm. It's a tough city. So they want to know, how do you stay this way?
First of all, let me say that I have lived in the Boogie Down Bronx for over 10, 15 years. So I'm a New Yorker. I live here for a very long time to attain the energy that every New Yorker around the world actually have. So first of all, my energy is from New York City. And anybody from New York City has the same energy as I am. So I will say that. And moreover, I'm always inspired when I step out of the street to see people that I'm talking to, people like you that actually having me today. It means a lot. It means a lot to see people that actually know the world better than you do and trying to mentor you to things that they think that will be better for you. Like having this program we're having right now. If it's not for you, we will not be here. But that only happened in New York. So I would say that anywhere. So the energy and the passion that I have came from New York. And I'm always excited to share that with anybody that I can share with. Again, I'm excited to be here. That's where the energy came from.
Well, it's a beautiful thing. And you're actually giving out something I'm a strong believer in.
Right.
And that's like, we have your family in the studio. And to me, what I found is the more we can incorporate together, like when we do at a wedding, when we do it, at a birth of a child, when we have occasions of festivals, we got to pay more attention to why that's happening, because the energy goes up and no one ever stops to say, well, why is it? Or remember, we take it for granted.
That's right.
But why don't we do this every day? Why don't we do this instead of having a war? You feel it in the boxing ring, but it's very interesting. At the end of the boxing match, in almost 90% of those matches, those boxers at the end actually come together and they genuinely hug each other and they actually get more friendly to each other. And as the years go on, they realize, why do they fight to begin with? They just wanted to have a good time.
That's right.
So your point is really well taken. And, we met yesterday and I wanted to ask you a question because I see you have young kids in your family. What did you think of this educational program, this drug-free world program?
So I want to actually be clear that I want to go back before I answer the questions. By the way, we met at the Dominican parade, first of all yesterday in the city, and where we had the governor, all the elected officials. And upon a friend of mine introduced me to Mr. Vanessa, and he found it very interesting. We had a conversation. He said he articulated, and he wanted us to actually help to make the community better because he saw that energy in men. So that is what I have to say. That is what I have to say. Dominican has changed the perspective of every immigrant in New York City, and that was done yesterday by the way in which every community members, regardless of where you come from, your race or whatever, was all together yesterday to celebrate the Dominican parade. So, Mr. Banel, like I said, you have changed the world in a way and you don't understand. You change it in a way by giving people like us the opportunity to come and share our view and our idea. So with that being said, we are here to take this to the next level. We are here to face the next generation. We are here to talk to the next generation. And we are here to take this to probably outside of New York and to the entire world.
Well, it's my pleasure. And it, to me, is so gratifying that meeting someone like you who gives so much energy back to the world, that's really my purpose in life, and we have it in common. And, we're partaking it with all the viewers who are going to watch this all over the world. And what I wanted to ask you now is to give them your opinion. There's so much global conflict. There's so much, economic duress, prejudice going on, obviously, with the wars going on. What changes would you like to see in our world?
So at this point, I do not want to be too political, but I have to say, if I have to actually face the war, and I believe, the top 1% actually, have had a lot of impact as to what happened around the world. And what am I trying to say is that, resolutions that has been passed to actually do what needed to be done. I believe that it's not being implemented by either United Nations or other non-for-profit organizations that serve as a conduit between either government or private sectors and so forth. So I believe in order to change those things, we have to believe that we are all human. Nobody in the world is better than anybody. The only thing that happens in the world is that we all want one thing in common. And the only thing that I believe we all want in common is peace. And the only way to get those peace is through, again, go back to my last conversation, is through listen, giving us a listening ear. And not allow either, like you say, International Monetary Fund, IMF, or the World Bank being the conduit between countries and other places in order to find a resolution. So my goal, again, I would say is to give a listening ear to people that are being victimized by, by society or by things that are happening in their country, to see if we can work together as a team to find a resolution to their problems.
I totally agree with you. And, I want to end the show on something here because we're getting to the end.
Right.
The time has flown by. But it's interesting because, and I have a little present here for you. This is actually from our group, the Foundation for a Drug-Free World, which is in 22 languages, is in 167 countries worldwide. And the goal is to educate so our children don't die, they don't become dependent, they keep their dreams. And it's interesting, I want to point this out to the viewers. And Buddha, if you put us on the wide screen, I want to really have us both on the screen as we talk. Good. So, we talk about that this is not supposed to happen. First, we got this white guy, and we got this black guy, and we're supposed to be killing each other. It's not happening.
That's right.
We're not supposed to talk with each other. So I don't know what happened to that because it doesn't seem to be true. And now we're going to take the next one. Then you've got this Jewish guy, and you've got this Muslim guy. And I guess the only thing we have in common is that we're guys. And then we both realize that life is a miracle. Now, I want to point something out because I know most of you out there are getting this message. Who is the enemy? Is the enemy the Dominican? Is the enemy the Chinese? Is the enemy the Indian? Is the enemy the Cuban? Is the enemy the American or the African? No. The enemy is not actually mankind, but the enemy definitely are drugs, which are destroying mankind, which pollutes the mind, causing 90% of the killing and murder. We just lost an NYPD officer at the last parade. But we've got to realize that if we got rid of drugs and we improve our family structure and did what Sidiki was recommending, we got along together, then maybe we'd have a safer world for all of us. And maybe the wars would disappear. That would be amazing. So Sidiki, I want, as not only as a gift for drug-free world, but as a symbol of who the enemy is, that it's not the other human being, but it's mankind. There you go.
I appreciate it. Thank you. That is a great gift, and I don't have to go home to put it on, and I want to put it on right now for everybody to say that this is what we stand for. Thank you. We want to see a free, just world. We all have been victims one way by the other, but I'm grateful for the gift, and this gift will live for me for the rest of my life. Thank you.
It's my pleasure. For those of you watching, the Manhattan Day Parade went by. It was gorgeous. It was beautiful. Tremendous atmosphere and energy, positive. Patterson, September 7th, Sunday, has another parade. And it's another Dominican Day Parade. And I know we're going to have the Liberians there, and the Cubans there, and the Dominicans there. And we invite all of you watching. And if you want to join in, fdfwamerica@gmail.com. Again, fdfwamerica@gmail.com. You're welcome to march with us. Let's make this a world drug-free world march. Not just a Dominican Day, but a world day. And it's very interesting because what does Dominican mean? Dominican comes to derivation God. And God-like, dominus. So let's do that. It's been a pleasure to have you. Thank you so much for taking your time and coming on the show.
Thank you so much. One thing that I forgot, I did not show my Dominican flair to know that I also got my flag with me from the parade. I want everybody to see that.
Absolutely. Okay, so you know what? Let's put this up here as we end the show, because we're on a Dominican show with our Dominican Buddha owner here, Jorge Rodriguez. Thank you for tuning in. We'll see you September 7th in Patterson. And any comments or whatever, send them to the show. We'd love to hear. We'll see you on the next episode of A Time for Truth show. Be well.
Thank you.
This show was sponsored by A Time for Truth Foundation Incorporated as a community service.
Sometimes life can be so damn hard. You don't know where to go. Everything keeps falling apart. Yeah. You try to do your best, but only God knows that you've given everything you've got, but the world takes you down. You just keep moving on. Let your feet